Good morning. Welcome back to the Red Mic. Happy Wednesday. I'm glad you're here. Today's Red Mic message, crabs in a bucket. I've been near the coast the last 2 days for team building, so I had seafood on my mind, and you may have seen the Bubba Gump coffee mug yesterday. So that's why I said that today's Red Mic message would be seafood oriented. So, as promised, you may have heard the term crabs in a bucket. Well, what does that mean? You throw a bunch of crabs in a bucket and you don't need a lid because any crab that tries to climb out, well, they get pulled right back down by the others. And that sounds funny, but it's true. And it's not just about crabs, it's about people too. You may have seen it. Somebody at work starts leveling up. They show up earlier, they sharpen their skills, they cut out the nonsense, they start producing more, and then suddenly the room changes. Well, who do they think they are? Must be nice. Well, they've changed and they're not buddy buddy anymore, and you hear that grousing, that belly aching. They didn't just change. They actually decided to climb. They're the same person, but maybe they've got a different worldview, different attitude. And it's not that they no longer value you as a team member, but they're just trying to improve their situation. Most of the time, I don't think the belly aching from other people on the team is even malicious. It's discomfort because the discipline they see in other people exposes maybe their lack of discipline. Growth creates contrast. That team member's effort shines a light on what others aren't doing. And light makes people squint. So they reach out not to help necessarily, but to steady themselves. And if that means they grab your leg in the process on your way up, well, that's just what happens. Now, here's the flip side of that. There's a team building exercise, and you may have seen it. 5 people, they are in front of a wall that's too high for them to climb by themselves. They don't have any ropes, they don't have any ladders. The only way over is each other. One person becomes the base, somebody else steps up, and they get on their shoulders. And then the next person uses them and they help, they grab and they pull that person up. And that person gets up and they steady themselves on the side of the wall. And then they all pull each other up. Now, the part where it takes a lot of faith is being that last person because 3 of your team members are already over, all 4 can be on top of the wall. And then you've got to run and jump and get high enough for them to reach out and grab you. That's a leap of faith. It really is. But when it works, everybody gets over the wall, not because one person climbed harder, but because they did the task together. And that's the opposite of the crabs in the bucket. It's the same people, it's the same physical ability, but it's a different culture. One pulls down, the other one lifts up. My MO in the office has always been pretty simple: work hard, do your part. If the team wins, you win. And I've always believed that you can accomplish a lot, both individually and as a team, if you don't care who gets the credit. I've mentioned this before. When I was a direct report to our board president, he would often congratulate me on stuff that we got done. And I always pointed back to the team, even if they didn't really do a whole lot of it, because that's how you build a wall team. Otherwise, you're building a bucket. And now sometimes you can be the crab. You see somebody else making moves, getting healthier, building something, fixing their marriage, getting serious about their faith, stepping into a leadership role. And something inside you says, slow down, don't get too far ahead, stay where we all are. That's envy. Really at its core, that's what it is. And you don't say this out loud, but it might happen in your tone or your in good natured ribbing, jokes in the office, in silence. And that's the pull. So what do you do? Well, you've got to recognize the bucket. Every environment has one. Some workplaces, some friend groups, some families, places where average is protected and excellence can feel like betrayal. Second, decide that if you're climbing anyway, because climbing creates friction. It might mean that you're going to be misunderstood. It might mean that you outgrow certain conversations around the water cooler in the break room. Sometimes it means climbing by yourself. Third, find your people, the ones who don't grab your ankle, the ones who grab your hand. They help lift you up. They don't resent your progress. They expect progress. They don't ask you to shrink. They challenge you to grow. They're the ones at the bottom of the wall helping you, saying, step here, I've got you. And if you're in a leadership role, this is really on you, because culture is just a bucket with rules or a wall with a system. So you ask yourself, do you reward effort or do you punish it? Do you celebrate growth or do you give it a side eye? If somebody on your team has an opportunity to go out and do something that reflects well on you, but they are the ones in the spotlight, don't be jealous of that. I've seen that, and it's not good. You have to make your people feel safe climbing. Otherwise, they're going to think it's safer to stay put. Not everybody's going to celebrate your climb. Some will question you. Some will resist your attempt to move forward. Some will try to pull you back into the version of you that made them comfortable in the first place, because growth creates tension. You should not mistake resistance for a wrong direction. Some environments cap potential, so recognize when you're in one. It might be time for you to move on. Real teams lift each other up. They don't compete for the same rung of the ladder. You can accomplish more when credit is not your goal. Ultimately, culture will determine outcomes, whether you're in a bucket or you're facing a wall. And sometimes that's a choice you've got to figure out. Leadership means building systems where people help each other climb. And that means you too. So climb anyway. And don't be the reason that someone else stays in the bucket. And that's today's Red Mike message. Hope you found it interesting or helpful. I will be back in the Red Mike cave tomorrow, but there you go. Red Mike message shirt. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. I'll see you again tomorrow. And until next time, don't forget, as always, life is short. Drink the bourbon.